Marvel Rivals is a hero shooter that came out in December 2024, and since then has skyrocketed in popularity with, at the time of recording, a peak around 132,000 players, including me. I'm one of those. I say this because I want to look into and discuss. In my research, I will be referring to something I'm gonna call in-game body language. Now, what the hell is that? The formal definition of body language is a noun, the conscious and unconscious movements and postures by which attitudes and feelings are communicated. But what I'm gonna be defining in-game body language as a player utilizing the game's controls to convey pre-existing knowledge on certain body language and their connotations, as well as the community recognized actions and meanings. So, like, when you see a character jumping up and down across games, it usually means they're pretty happy and excited. I read Into Game Culture's Computer Games as New Media by Helen Kennedy and John Dobie, where in Chapter 6, Bodies and Machines, they talk about how we as players embody our avatars, or in this case, the characters we choose to play, especially since we're able to customize heroes with skins, roles they play in the team, actions, and being able to move around in the digital space. A great way to see this in a more gameplay aspect is the use of animation cancels to do combos faster. However, a lot of animation cancels in Rivals we'll be seeing is to do more with movements that aren't intentional to do, and more for the social aspect than the tactical. We, the person playing the game, are physically using a controller or keyboard and mouse or any other unconventional way to control a game, which allows players to enhance the capabilities and limits the game puts on us. I spend most of my time doing ethnographic research in Marvel Rivals so that I can observe and watch player behaviors in a natural environment without prompting anything to happen, or at least not intentionally. So most of my research clips are from when I'm casually playing Rivals with my friends or by myself. Luckily for me, my research started when NetEase released the twerking Venom emote, which gets used like a lot, so many games that I played use this. And also, the season 2 of Hellfire Gala just released as well, so it kind of gave a pretty good fresh start for everything. Some highlight games for me were the day the Venom emote came out. One of the first games I played started as any other one, but then 2 Venoms started emoting at each other suddenly. Then, everyone started unanimously circling around them to watch, and decided to let them duke it out while we watched from a platform. But once it was over, we went back to playing normally after a few seconds. Another game was the most memorable because it lasted probably around 30 minutes when it started with a Venom player that just swung in. My team decided to enable this, and then it just evolved into staying at the point and goofing around instead of playing the actual game. After playing a lot and talking to some others, here's a list of some common actions seen in Rivals. Something I noticed through all my games though is that there are a lot of motions that have sexual connotations to them. For example, a lot of times I played, I got humped or saw people get humped a lot. Which, because I'm a strategist main, but that's a whole nother can of worms. I think this derives from what players have done in past games. Something like the teabag, for example, which is a common taunt in competitive games, originates from a sexual act, and I think stuff like that in Rival also come from that as well. But from my understanding, sometimes these are just from the fact that sex is funny. And like, why do so many people draw penises on random surfaces? Because something like the tabooness and the absurdity of it, that players might feel weird saying it through voice or text chat. So instead, random actions. But still, it comes from our own understanding of body language, and even though our avatars are performing these actions, we as players are still using those controls, physically, even to a point that it becomes second nature when playing. So what? Why does this matter anyways? Marvel Rivals is one of the most recent hero shooters that has gained a lot of popularity over its short lifetime. But it also kind of rides off the backs of many competitive hero shooters that came before it, and the players that have previous experience with these. As for me, I mostly have a history in Valorant, which has a lot of in-game body language players have developed over time. With Rivals, it adds more into how players behave and the capabilities and limits players will push just to do it for the bit, or because it's funny, especially in a competitive game like hero shooters. But also, because of how short the game's lifespan is right now, it's kind of fascinating just to see how these actions have spread, been made known, and have their own meaning so quickly. But honestly, where the game is now, Maybe players just want to have something funny and humorous despite all the competitiveness and toxicity that the game is starting to have.